Curious, as we're waiting for folks to trickle in, how many people here are in their first year at EOU? It's expected. How many of you are in your first college class? Not as many, but a couple. All right, good afternoon. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, good afternoon. You are here for COM 111, interpersonal communication, so you're in the right place. Again, as mentioned, apologies for the confusion about the room and building. IT is working on it. I just wanted to make sure we all knew where we needed to be. I'm Dr. Benjamin Mann. You can call me Ben, Dr. Mann, or Professor Mann. I'm an assistant professor of communication studies here at EOU. I also serve as the co-chair of the communication studies department. So if you're interested in being a comm major or minor, or just interested in communication classes and learning a little bit more about what communication is all about, feel free to reach out and I'm happy to help connect you. So welcome to interpersonal communication. What I would like to do with getting us started for the day is a chance for us to get to know each other a little bit better. So what I would like you to do is to find a partner in the class, and you can form a group of 3 if you would like to, but I ideally would like you to find somebody in the class that you haven't met before. So if you're involved in a club or group and you've gotten to know somebody, reach out a little bit and find somebody new. And as you're getting to know and talking with this person, ask them some questions. Make sure to get their name, first of all, but you might ask some questions about where they're from, why they're interested in taking this class, something fun or interesting that they might have done over the summer, and something that people might not know about them. Those are some questions you could ask, but you're definitely not limited to that. As you're asking those questions to your partner, take some notes about your partner, because I will be asking in about 5 minutes for you to introduce your partner to the class. So again, make sure you've got their name and some of those details, and I'll ask you to introduce in just a few minutes. So it is currently about 12:01. So we'll take about 5 or 6 minutes, reconvene at about 12:06. Find somebody in the class to talk to, and be prepared to introduce them to our group.
Really? No.
Yep. I forgot to hear about that. No, not 12. So originally the program.
Take about 2 more minutes. You might switch people if you haven't already.
You go out and look at after on the grading myself. What can you utilize around grading? I already have two of these. One. Work in life, so now. So you're in junior year and also.
Take 1 more minute to wrap up.
What about you? Black
All right. So I'm going to take advantage of the lull that we've got here, and we'll go ahead and hear from people, introducing each other to the group. I appreciated you all's conversations. I think it's really cool when you all start talking, you like ask the questions, but then you're like, oh, I actually want to get to know this person. And you start asking more questions and getting to know more. I think there were even a couple groups who like merged and started talking to each other over time. So that's really cool. You all were also, as there was as much, if not more, conversation going on in this class than in my morning class, and my morning class is bigger. So y'all are winning that game so far. Awesome. So let's have you introduce your partner to the group, some of the things that you learned about them, as well as their name. So let's start here in the back on this side.
He's from Middleton, Idaho. Sorry. One fun thing he did this summer was roofing. The working man.
Awesome.
Something you might not know about him. Favorite color is blue. And he's taking this class because he's interested in communication.
Great.
I did Zach Donato. He's from Selah, Washington. One fun thing he did over the summer was camping. Interesting fact about him, he's a cat dad. And then he just took the class because he was interested in communications.
I did Brock Heisler from Putnam, Oregon. Worked with cattle over the summer. And interesting thing is he lives on a ranch. Well, and he's taking this class because he has to. He's spoken by a lot of people also.
Yeah. The recurring line for my morning class was, and then this class was my advisor told me, reasonable advisors know their stuff. So Zach Brock, awesome. Great to meet the 3 of you. Thanks for sharing a little bit about yourself and what you do. Roofing, doing the outdoors, favorite color is blue. Kind of see that a little bit, but yeah, it's great to hear from the 3 of you and glad you're interested in communication. So let's move on down the line here and move through. Or we have a partnership here. Got it. Feel free to introduce. Or your partners. Yes, you got it.
This is Louise. This is from LeGrand. with this class because he's advising children to. This summer he went to Spain, traveled. And then one thing a lot of people don't know about him is what's his goes.
This is Hayden, she's from Hermiston, she's taking this class because it's her last prerequisite for her elementary career path.
Awesome.
She worked out at Blueberry Farm this summer, where she racked up a lot of hours. And something that people don't know about is that she wants to do, she wants to buy a Volkswagen and travel the world, specifically the 3000s.
Oh,
it's obviously she's going to.
That sounds awesome. It's great aspirations and plans. That's super exciting. My sister is a middle school special education teacher, so I definitely know the sort of education path and navigating all of that. Great to learn a bit about them. Let's go to the end over here.
Okay, so this is Autumn. She's from New Mexico. She was taking this class because she needed a filler class and she said this class sounded interesting to her. Something interesting that she did over the summer is she worked at the sheriff's office. And something that most people might not know about her is she has a birthmark on the leg. This is Lainey. She's from Wallowa County, Oregon. She is wanting to go into vet, so she thought this was. She helped with hay and grain harvest, and she has 3 sisters.
I think there's an impressive amount of like physical and manual labor folks have been doing over the summer, whether it's like picking blueberries, roofing, hay, like that's pretty cool. Great to hear from both of you. We have a lot of people who come in from like a background in either vet or health. One of the areas I focus on is health communication. So that kind of track is really interesting and of course connects really closely with communication. So thank you both for introducing yourselves to the group. Let's move on up here to the second row. So do we have a group of 3? Oh, okay. So we've got a partnership through here. Yeah, feel free to introduce yourselves or your partners. Yes.
Okay, this is Nathan. He's actually originally from Indonesia. Over the summer, he did a lot of sailing, he enjoys surfing, being out in the water. He has 4 younger siblings. His major is culture ecology.
Cultural anthropology.
Oh, yeah.
This is Ella. She's from Union. She owns 2 horses, Jad and Elliot, and enjoys riding them up in Mount Emily. She has 2 older brothers and wants to major in rangeland science.
That's awesome. Nathan, have you worked with Dr. Rejorovsky over in?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. So one of the professors in ANTSOCH does some really cool work with a lot of the indigenous and tribal communities in the area, partnerships, even having speakers on campus and things.
Is she in this building?
Yeah, I think she's either in here or in LoSo.
I'll have to go into the.
Yeah, but yeah, great to get to know both of you. I did some horseback riding when I was a lot younger. I had a horse that did not want to go slow and wanted to keep up with a faster group. And then I didn't do that again, but great to hear from both of you. Welcome to class. Move on down to this partnership over here.
This is Eddie from Rochester, Washington. Plays softball during the summer, and something you might not know about her is she wants to be a president.
Awesome.
This is Trevor. He's from Oregon State, Oregon. He's in this class because they put him in it. He's been at Eastern since August 2nd, and something you might not know about him is that he shoulder surgeries.
Wow. Related, I would imagine, to different injuries and things. Yeah, that's rough. I'm sorry. Great to get to know both of you, learning about like forensics, psychology, and that work is awesome. I think it's interesting that the recurring theme is I'm in this class because they put me in it, and it makes me sound like a prison warden or something. Like, I hope that you do not feel incarcerated in this class, but I'm definitely understanding and advisors that get there. So welcome, I'm happy. Let's keep on moving over to this side.
This is Bjorn, he's from Columbus. He's taking this class, but he was told to. He over the summer founded a forestry business. and he's indecisive.
This is Jared. He's from Spokane, Washington. He's taking this class because he was also told to. And something he did over the summer was work on his farm. And he's also indecisive.
Look, I spent a good 2 years hemming and hawing through undergrad trying to figure out my major. I understand, like, if you're not sure what you want to major in yet, you're still figuring that out, like, there is the space and the time to do that. I definitely encourage people to continue to explore classes, figure out what they like to do and want to do. So totally fine to be in that boat. So awesome, welcome. I know a lot of folks are involved in sort of farming, agriculture. We have an awesome, if you're not part of it already, there's an agripreneur club on campus. A lot of organizations really related to those things that are doing some really cool stuff. So welcome, glad to have you all here. Let's move on to a partnership here in the front.
This is Gary. He's from Kettle Falls, Washington. He is majoring in rangeland sciences. The interesting thing he did over the summer was he went to a Finnish folk festival.
Mhm.
And what you may not know about him is he's actually a blacksmith.
Oh,
We forgot to talk about why we're taking this class, but I'll say in my case, I actually did take this of my own will. Own free will, I guess. I chose it myself. I just felt like it would be a good skill. I'm not very good at talking.
all good.
All right, this is Anthony. He's from LeGrand.
Mhm.
He is a junior in psychology, right? And he just worked this summer. He believes himself not to be very interesting, so I think we need to find other things that he finds interesting.
It's interesting as I got nothing interesting.
I mean, I feel like every year older I get, it's harder for me to find interesting things to say. So I understand. But welcome, glad to have you both here. I think that a lot of people who say they're not good at talking are much better than they give themselves credit for. A lot of people who think they're great at talking are not. So glad to have you both here and thanks for introducing. And then we've got some folks here in the front. So there's a partnership here and membership here. Let's start on this.
So this is Kaylee. One thing she did over the summer was like a senior trip with her friends. One thing that people might not know about her is she is trap shooting.
Awesome.
This is Jason. He's from Redmond and he's taking this class in case he wants to switch over to communications, right? Yeah.
Come to the dark side, we have cookies. But yeah, great to know both.
He went to Disneyland this summer and to an NFL game, and he's on the football team.
Awesome. Yeah, good to get to know and hear about both of you. You know, I think that understanding some of the activities, athletics, and groups that you all are involved in, awesome. I think it's great because I know a lot of folks are traveling, competing, and so forth. I did the same in college myself, so I know the challenge of kind of juggling that with everything. Then you're on this side.
Okay, this is Maddie. She's from Klamath Falls. She's taking this class because her psychology major didn't fit in her schedule. And something that people might not know about her is she's addicted to shopping.
So this is Veronica. She's taking this class and she's interested in communications. She got to wrestle this summer. And something you may not know about her is that she was the running back on her high school football.
Oh, that's awesome. Maddie and Veronica, great to hear from both of you. I also understand the fun and the joy of shopping until I see what it does to the paycheck. So glad to have you both here. Anybody that we didn't get to? I think we were able to introduce everybody in the class. Thank you all for doing that and taking the opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better, learning about each other and sharing, right? I think it's a lot of fun to do because not only is it nice to actually get to know who you're working with in the class, and we'll be doing a lot of kind of partner and group activities over the course of the class to get to know each other better, but surprise, surprise, right? We just did interpersonal communication. So interpersonal communication, right? It can be face-to-face, it can be synchronous, it can be through text, it can be sending office gifts, right? Whatever it is, interpersonal communication is conveying meaning and sharing ideas between two people, right? And it's one of those skills that we might think that we've got down and that we do well, but we always have things that we can learn about and do better in, right? And it's an area that we can continue to study and grow in, especially as we communicate across different walks of life and different experience. You know, some of the things that I noticed that were interesting were nonverbal expressions, right? As you all were starting to communicate with each other, you opened up physically through your facial expressions, through your gestures, and so on. We'll be talking about that a bit later in the class when we talk about uncertainty reduction theory, but we open up physically and tonally as we get to know people better. Self-disclosure, right? A lot of times our communication is very one-to-one in the early stages. How are you? I'm good. How are you? Right? And then things start to swing a bit more strongly one direction or the other as we feel more comfortable. Somebody's more willing to tell a story as we feel greater comfort over time. Our physical distancing and space with other people. I noticed people that gesture a lot would push their chair back away a little bit so that they could incorporate more gestures into their communication with other people, right? Those are all the little things that happen, and the role of nonverbal communication. In fact, face-to-face, nonverbal communication is up to 80% of the communication that we do. If I say, it's great to see you, right? You're not gonna attribute trust to what I said, you're going to attribute trust to how I said it, right? If I sound sarcastic or I sound boring, then you're gonna think, no, he's not happy to see me. Don't worry, I'm actually happy to see you. But those are some of the things that we're starting to dig into in this class, that we do interpersonal communication all the time, but starting to peel back the layers and look at how to do communication effectively is incredibly important, right? We cannot not communicate, and communication is a skill, whether we like it or not, we have to use in our lives. So I wanted to share a little bit about me and my background so that you know who this person is that's teaching this class. So as mentioned, I'm an assistant professor of communication at EOU. This is my second year here at EOU. I actually grew up on the western side of the state. I grew up in the town of West Lynn, that's just about 20 minutes south of the Portland area. Lived there and went to school there. For the longest time, I thought I was going to be a high school English teacher, but over the course of my high school and college experience, I really fell in love with competitive speaking debate. I love an audience, I love presenting, I love public speaking, and I really enjoyed engaging with current events, with politics, with social issues, and I became really interested in rhetoric and persuasion, in the ways that the messages and ideas and thoughts that circulate in our heads every day, that we see on news headlines, that we hear from people around us, right, from politicians, from public speakers, influence our lives and influence the ways that we think about the world. That stuff to me is really fascinating. So with all of that, after I finished college, I went on a different direction and pursued a master's in communication in Northern California in Stockton, and got to coach a speech and debate team. I became really interested again in the study of rhetoric and communication, particularly how folks with disabilities communicate and use things including media to advocate for health and advocate for well-being. After that, I spent 5 years in Salt Lake City, Utah, where I completed my PhD in communication. Again, got to coach and do some work with debate and approach this a little bit more. And I have always wanted to go back to Oregon. It's home, it's where family is, and I've really come to enjoy LeGrand and enjoy the area. If you have just moved here, I know that first kind of moving into LeGrand and EOU can feel a little bit weird. It can feel a little bit isolating, especially if you're used to coming from a larger town or city. What I can tell you from being in that boat last year is that at EOU, there is a great set of students, a faculty, of people who really care. There's a lot of opportunities, clubs, activities, organizations that you might already be a part of, and you really start to feel a great sense of community and closeness with people. And I think that people who are locals and are from the region can definitely speak to that as well. So in any case, welcome. We're really happy to have you here. Again, I hope that things go well for you as the quarter continues. In terms of what I do, as mentioned, I specialize in health communication. Last year, I taught for the first time communicating health and science at EOU. I'm offering it this year as an online course. later in the academic year. So you're welcome to take that course. It fulfills social science credit. And again, I'm really interested in how, in particular, folks with disabilities advocate for health and social issues. As a person with a disability myself, right, it's a challenging time to navigate and advocate for those types of topics. So I do some work, including academic publication in that area. This was also the speech and debate team at the University of Utah that I coached and worked with. We are trying to get speech and debate going at EOU. So if that's an area that interests you, stay tuned. We're trying to kind of get that off the ground. So if you are like, nope, I do enough speaking day to day, I do not want to go travel and do that, I also totally understand. As far as things that, you know, make me an actual human being, one of my absolute favorite hobbies is hiking. I love going outside. Pictured here on the left, I took a hike at a summit out near Mount Hood. This is my dog, Sylvie. She's a 3-year-old Labrador Retriever. She will do a long, strenuous 10-mile hike and still have a lot of energy left to play with you right after. It's a lot of fun, and I just love going out and exploring new trails. So I grew up, like, since I was 5 years old, playing video games. I love playing games. To date myself a little bit and sound old, one of the first video games I ever played was Crash Bandicoot for the Sony PlayStation, right? So I grew up playing a lot of video games. Sometimes when I'm in my office, I'm playing on my Switch. But eventually I became really interested in designing and creating video games. So I'm developing kind of a tactical role-playing game, still a prototype, doesn't have any graphics or anything finalized yet. That's one thing that I love to do in my free time. And another thing that I really enjoy is live music. So this is HQ. If you're new to LeGrand, HQ is a music venue. They do a lot of live music shows. They do open mic nights. It's a great place to go if you're kind of interested in getting involved in the local music scene. We also have here at EOU a local band called 45th Parallel, which is really cool and plays some good music. I love going to live shows and hearing music. Probably the most memorable show that I went to over the summer in Portland was a double feature with Avril Lavigne and Machine Gun Kelly. Don't judge me. I was there for Avril. Avril Lavigne was the music of my high school. So kind of fun. So those are some things that I like to do. I think sharing a little bit about myself and what I'm interested in kind of helps to put a human behind all the things that we'll be talking about together. So as we hit on a little bit, and as we started to talk about, right, interpersonal communication is this kind of foundational gateway course in communication, but we cover a lot of different ground in different communication courses, right? Interpersonal is about two people communicating face-to-face, communicating remotely, synchronously, asynchronously, right? Small group communication is another course we offer at EOU that looks generally between 3 to 8 people. And then things like leadership and organizational communication or media studies gets even bigger, right? So for the purposes of this course, what we will be focusing on is between two people, right? Between what is known as a dyad. If we think about inter as in interplay, right? Or interperson, it is communication between people, right? Communication has a lot of different definitions. I think that the best definition that we can use to understand what communication is the idea of using symbols to convey meaning, right? If we think about what words are, what sentences are, what language is, it's a bunch of little squigglies and curved symbols and all of that that we put together for something to make sense, right? In a lot of countries, such as China or Japan, the use of things such as kanji is indicating both a symbol and also the meaning of that symbol, right? So how we use symbols across cultures and contexts is different. Symbols can also be nonverbal communication. It's rolling our eyes, it's gesturing, it's developing an image, right? Using technology and so forth. And something we do all the time, again, we cannot not communicate. Even if you're in a Zoom meeting and you've got your microphone off and your video off, you are communicating to some extent your absence or unavailability for that meeting, right? So we're always communicating. If you are familiar with Indeed, it is a website that is used for job posting, for applying for jobs. A lot of similar websites exist, such as Handshake, LinkedIn, and so on. One common through line you will see on just about every one of those websites is them listing what are considered to be the most important skills for job candidates in any field, right? And time again, the number one or the top skill listed in what employers want from people, including people who might be wrapping up college, right, is communication. Communication skills are needed in virtually every job, right? People who can understand what's being asked of them and effectively communicate with other people, right? People who are not replying all to email chains, right? Those are important skills to have. Skills include writing, speaking, listening, and negotiating. So understanding how to communicate effectively and build those communication skills and to communicate well with people who come from a lot of different experiences. These are, as my advisor liked to put it, tools for living, right? Communication is a lot of fun because it connects to just about everything. Whether you're coming in psychology, veterinary care, health, agriculture, so on, right? You will be communicating and developing those skills over time. So what I want to do next is go over some of the policies and expectations for this course, right? I know that going over the syllabus and reviewing all of that stuff is not the most fun thing in the world, but one thing that I really pride myself on and one thing that I consider to be really important is to be very transparent and very clear with you about the expectations for the course, about the expectations for assignments, and about the ways that I do what I can to support you in the course, right? Being transparent, being clear, knowing what to expect are things that I know are important for you on that side, and I've been there, so I really want to make sure that I'm clear in what to expect out of this class and what will help you to succeed in this class as well. You know, another thing that I think is really important is just recognizing that this is a really weird world that we've been living in, especially over the last 2.5 years, right? I was wrapping up grad school right around the time when COVID started, right? I was finishing in like March 2020, and the funniest thing happened. And I do not personally know what it's like to be a student who has had to take so much time remotely, who might see friends or family who have been sick, or might have died, right? Experiencing a lot of the isolation and the long-term effects that come from that experience, I know has been a really major challenge. And so while I don't necessarily firsthand understand that experience, I want to empathize with and support you in where you're at, right? I'm really glad that you're here in this course. I'm glad that you're choosing to come to EOU in what is a challenging time to be a student, and know that it's a place where you belong, where you're included, and that we're glad that you're here. So how many folks have been able to access this course through Canvas? Okay, so a number of you. How many people have used Canvas before? Okay, most of you. So if you visit the Canvas page for this course, you'll see some information here. Canvas is the main way that I'll be posting announcements and updates about the course, and it'll also be the place that you go to submit assignments. If you haven't used Canvas before or you're not super familiar, you should have received an email in your student account inviting you to access the Canvas page for this course. So definitely click onto that and it should take you here. If you're having issues with getting onto this Canvas page, let me know. I know that Canvas can be a mess and can be a little bit weird to navigate. And so I have tried to streamline it as much as possible and minimize the amount of information that's listed there. So the front page essentially contains the entire schedule for the course, and it also contains hyperlinks to access a lot of the material that you'll be needing as you go through with the course, right? So I've tried to make that a hub that really clearly highlights the things that you need in order to succeed. Here is the course syllabus, right? I'll be going over that in a second. If you're not familiar with a syllabus, or that's a pretty new term for you that you've heard professors say today, right? Think about the syllabus as an instruction manual. You get an instruction manual. If you bought something from IKEA, right, it's telling you how to assemble a table. In the same way, the syllabus is telling you how this class is set up, the expectations for the class, and giving you a sense of what to expect. As far as office hours go, right, office hours, or as I like to call them, student hours, are times where your instructors are here and available to support you, to help you answer questions if you're falling behind in the class, if you miss the class and need some expert help. If you're concerned about your grade and want some support in that, if you want to work on a rough draft or an outline, or just figure out how to succeed in the course, that's what those hours are for, right? I take those times really seriously. I'm always in my office during those scheduled times. And I'm both available face-to-face and through Zoom, right? So my office is just upstairs in Ackerman 204C from 9 to 9:50, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 11 to 11:50, I'll be in that room. And I will also be in this Zoom room. So if you're not on campus during that time, or you'd rather meet via Zoom, I will be in that meeting, and you can choose to meet with me face-to-face upstairs, or just meet with me via Zoom. Either way is fine, and I'm happy to chat with you, and you're welcome to just drop in during that time. If you're not available for that time, that does not mean that you can't meet with me. Instead, you're welcome to send me a couple times that you'd like to meet, and I'm happy to find a time that works for both of us. I'll be going over the makeup assignment here in just a second. Just know that it's available here on the front page. So let's talk a little bit about the syllabus or the instruction manual for the course. Before I do that, does anybody have any questions about anything that we've chatted about so far? Awesome. If any questions do come up at any point, please give me a holler and I'm happy to help. So this course is not in Zabel apparently, so we are in Ackerman. Monday, Wednesday, Friday from noon to 12:50. So we'll be meeting again this Wednesday and this Friday. The best way to get in contact with me is through email. So this bwman@eou.edu is the best way to contact me. You can also message me through Canvas. I try to respond to emails as quickly as possible, but please give me at minimum 48 hours between business days. I teach other courses, right? And if I'm teaching while you're sending an email, I might not be able to get back to you by a really short period of time. So I'd encourage you, right, to always give yourself a buffer of a couple days before you need a response. As mentioned, I'll be in my office both face-to-face and through Zoom. This is really important, right? You all have spent a lot of money going to school. If you have pumped gas or if you've had gas pumped for you because it's Oregon, you know that inflation and the prices of things are really high. I think it is incredibly unethical to ask you to also pay hundreds of dollars for textbooks. I think that's gross. I've been on the other side of it. I don't like it. So I've really tried to make an effort to make this course as accessible as possible and reduce those financial barriers. You do not need to buy any textbooks for this class. Instead, there are some awesome experts in the field who have written an open access free ebook that we'll be using for the class that's really good and covers the material that we need to cover. I have broken that ebook up into different chunks. So you'll notice as we work through the weeks of the course that you'll have a little PDF that has that chunk of the text that I'm asking you to read to hopefully streamline and make that a lot easier for you. If you do want a printed copy though, I'm happy to help you with getting printed access to the readings as well, like you're going on a trip and you don't have internet, etc. So those are some of those policies. This is a face-to-face course that meets on campus. You know, I do take attendance and I'm asking that you come to class. The way that I handle attendance and course policy is that everybody gets 3 absences, right? Whether it's illness, sickness, whatever, you don't have to share the reasons, right? But you get 3 that you don't need to make up. Outside of those 3, for any reason, what I ask that you do is complete a makeup assignment that's linked on the front page of Canvas for that day that you missed. And that will fill in for one of the classes that you've missed past those 3, right? I post the slides for every class before the class starts. That way, if there's anybody in the back who has trouble reading slides in the front, or anybody who uses a screen reader, you can use that to follow along. Or if we're doing a group activity, you can just easily access those slides from there. And then shortly after class, I will submit the Zoom recording and link the recording from that class to the front page of Canvas too. That way you can easily catch up on a class if you might have missed it. Additionally, if you're not able to come to class, but you do want to join us, I will send you that Zoom link and you can join remotely. So just ask for that Zoom link if you want to attend remotely, like you're sick or you're attending an event, but you are able to come during that time, and I'm happy to get you connected. So some of the general university policies and things I won't be going into in a ton of detail. Just know that this is a course that's designed to help us build communication skills, understand communication, and understand how to become better communicators, right? We are always already becoming and growing and building those skills over the course of our lives. I'm always learning new things about how to communicate and communicate better. So that's a big focus for this class. If you require any sort of accommodations, the Disability Services Office or DSO on campus is who to get in touch with. definitely get in touch with them as soon as possible. I'm not that kind of doctor, right? I'm not a medical expert, so I can't give you my own accommodations, but I can work with the DSO to make those accommodations meaningful and to support you. I also know, right, that getting access to something like a medical diagnosis is a privilege in terms of healthcare and access in this country, right? So I've tried to make this course as accessible as possible to people. But if you find yourself in need of additional support, let me know or reach out to DSO. So as mentioned, right, if you're not able to come to class, I'm asking you to pass those 3 free absences, watch the recording from that class period, right? One way to think about this is that everybody is taking this class for 3 or 4 credits, right? So whether you're here all the time, you're an athlete, you're doing an extracurricular, right? Everybody is doing those 3 credits. So if you need to miss for travel, I like to provide those recordings and access so that you can make that up in other areas, right? And I know that well from traveling nationally for speech and debate, that catching up and spinning those plates can be a challenge. And I want to make sure that you're able to keep up with the course in light of those things. I really support, and I think it's awesome when people are doing athletics, extracurriculars, travel, all those things that represent EOU and are really significant things to do. And I want to make sure that this course is flexible to those needs. To me, supporting diversity, supporting the needs of students and experiences that are diverse is incredibly important. We are all learning. We're all going to make mistakes, say things that aren't the best, but right, we're always learning. So to me, supporting diversity, supporting the perspectives of students from all walks of life is incredibly important to me, and creating a background in which students feel comfortable doing so is incredibly important to me too. There's some information if you experience bias or discrimination about who to reach out to. There's some policies that are pretty straightforward about dishonesty, how to drop courses, if you need to drop courses, and so on. We're at an interesting point with COVID, right? Where COVID is kind of like the flu and then it's never fully gone away. It's still a thing. To me, if you choose to wear a mask, that's completely fine. I don't think that people should be like put on the spot for their decisions, but I want to do what I can to support you and also recognize that life happens while you're making plans. So if anything changes over the course of this term regarding COVID policies, they're linked on EOU, I'll let you know. I let you know about contacting me through email and office hours. If you're concerned about your grade, let me know. Technology, right? You're welcome to use tech like laptops, tablets, phones, etc. Just use them for taking notes and material, right? We don't meet for a super long time. If you get a new notification, then definitely check it out after class. Please don't use things like headphones or AirPods unless they're designed to help you in the class, and we talked about that. Please come to class on time, not a big issue. So one thing that I think is one way to think about this and your other classes, right? Especially as you're getting so much information, you're juggling, you're starting to figure out your schedule and all of that, is to think about a fire, right? If you wake up in the middle of the night and you notice that there was a small fire in your dorm room, in your home, etc., right? What do? You get a fire extinguisher, you put it out, get some water, you call the fire department, right? You put out the fire. You don't wait for the fire to spread, to completely burn your home down, to have like smoldering ash and have just this like pile of dust and say, hey, there was a fire, help me, right? And that's the way that you should think about this course, all of your courses, and falling behind, right? You will hear every professor say that they want you to succeed, and we really, really mean that. Like, it is the worst feeling in the world to be at the end of the term and have a student who is not quite able to pass, and we could have worked together earlier to help make that happen, right? If you find that you're falling behind, you need extra support, that you're not able to manage all of the things that you need to do, please, please, please get in touch with me. I would love to help you develop a plan. I can help with providing extensions on assignments, providing flexibility on the assignment, helping with taking them complete, and so on, right? Please, please, please let me know if you need that help, and I'm happy to help. Late assignments are -5% for each day something is due, but if you reach out to me in advance, ideally a week in advance, and say, hey, I've got like 3 midterms at this same week, can I get a week-long extension? Yeah, absolutely, right? It's a communication class, communication helps. So we've got a number of assignments. I'm also going to ask you to do citations on the essay assignment for the class, but we'll be talking a bit more about that and some of the best practices for citing. If you want to send me a rough draft or outline of any assignment, as long as you send that to me with enough time, like ideally 3 to 5 days before it's due, I'm happy to give you some feedback. In fact, a lot of the students who have done really well in my classes are students who will send a draft or outline in advance. I turn around some feedback, they make some updates and turn it in. So in this class, I have some Canvas prompts. Don't think about these as like huge essays that you need to write. Think about these as usually about 2 to 3 paragraphs or so, and they don't need to be as formal, right? Each week, I will have a prompt listed, except for a couple weeks in the term, and I will ask you to respond to that prompt that engages with the reading from that week. And there are a total of 8 prompts that will be posted. You get to pick 6 of them. So you can either choose the 6 that make the most sense for you for your schedule and when you see things being less intense, or if you choose to complete more than 6, then I will grade your highest 6, right? So I definitely recommend starting to think about what weeks work best for you. I have the first prompt already posted for you on Canvas that will be due on Friday. You can choose to complete it or choose to have that be one of the 2 that you're skipping. There is a midterm and final for this class, but I know that exams can be kind of frightening. So rather than ask you to have to take the exam, like memorize and cram material, that's not how we learn, right? The exams are open note and open book. Essentially, you can take them from wherever you want. You will get 72 hours or 3 days to pick the best time that works for you. And once you choose to take the exam, you get 2 hours to complete it. The first midterm exam will primarily cover things from the first 4 weeks of the class, and the final exam will cover everything after those 4 weeks. The final exam is cumulative in the sense that every week and every bit of content is building off of the last. But my advice would be to focus 75-25 on new content relative to reviewing older content. Attendance and participation, I talked about wanting to keep up with that. We'll be doing a writing assignment later in the term where I'm asking you to record a conversation that you have with somebody else, transcribe and write down that conversation and reflect on that experience. A lot of folks have really enjoyed that assignment, particularly getting to know friends or family members, hearing stories, for example, people who have had conversations with grandparents and learned a lot about their lives. And it's a great way for us to learn about each other. And I think it'll be a really fun activity for this course. There will be extra credit that will be offered toward the end of the term. It adds 20% or 2 points onto your final grade. I will also be doing another extra credit opportunity in which one announcement or email that I provide in the term will include a code word. And if you send me that word, then you'll receive extra credit as well. So check the announcements and updates about the course regularly because you will be receiving that code word in the future. All right. Before we do the last thing of the day, any questions? I know we've covered a lot of ground, but again, I like to be as transparent and clear as possible about what to expect. Okay. So the last thing that I'd like you to do is an anonymous short questionnaire. You do not need to put your name on it, but it's a way to help you to share some of the things that you feel good about and some of the things that you need some extra support in, right? This is an introductory gateway course. And I also want to develop some time, including a couple workshops to build skills, because I think a lot of your instructors assume that you know certain things about college that you were never taught, right? So I want to help you with that. You can also consider this handout to be your exit ticket of the day, right? I think requiring you to be here for the full time on the first day of the year is cruel and unusual punishment. The Constitution says that I can't do that. So take some time to work through that. Once you have worked through that document, you're welcome to hand that to me on your way out and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Do you have more
Yes.
copies?
Oh, some copies. I also have an extra pen. And if you find yourself saying, "I don't know how to do that," that's totally fine. That's the point. We're here to help you in working through these things. Thank you. Yeah.
I was wondering how I go about doing that.
Yeah, so I'm not in charge of kind of the scholarship eligibility, but I would encourage you, you know how you have the like the banner listings? So if you check online, there's the banner that like lists your courses that you're enrolled in the schedule. I would encourage you to like just take a screenshot or forward that to your advisor. And that should help you to get. Yeah, and anything else that they need to provide proof of enrollment that you need to send around to me. But I think just sending that along to your advisor.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I'm excited for the rest of the year.
Yeah. So good to meet you.
Likewise.
If you're here for 310, you're welcome to come on in. You're the professor who teaches in here right before this class is a jerk and doesn't like let students come in. I try to get done right on time, but you all are welcome to start to come in once we're at the 12:50. So if I'm like casually chatting to somebody as the last class finishes up, you're welcome to start to cycle in. It's good to have some space to get ready before we start. Here for COM 310, you're in the right place. We'll get rolling in just a couple minutes and wait for remaining people to come in.